and it's about Harry Kane. And we heard from, who did we hear it from today?
The Times, I think.
Second. Yeah, Gary Jacob from the Times was saying that Spurs will want 100 million upfront fee to sell Harry Kane this summer. So, Sean, do you think we will get that upfront fee this summer? Do you think anyone will pay that 100 million for Harry Kane that we want?
I think probably not. I don't think so. No, I think the only realistic target, the only realistic option for that would probably be for Manchester United. And I'd be very surprised if they'll pay £100 million for a player in his last year of his contract. I know they paid top dollar for the ex-Arsenal player. I forget his name. A few years ago,
Sanchez,
and Sanchez as well, right? So, but it was different money. If Daniel Levy's asking price is 100 million quid, I don't think anyone will pay it. You know, if Daniel Levy had an asking price of 60, 70 million quid, if that was what he thought, if Harry Kane turns around and says, look, I'm done, so you either sell me or I run my contract down, then if Daniel Levy's asking price is 100 million, I don't think anyone's going to pay it. No.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same thing. I think the fact that he's going to be turning 30, the fact that he has only a year left on his contract, and he's going to be running it down. I just don't see a team, unless they're really desperate to beat the competition of next season. I don't see it. I don't see it being likely as well. The fact that, I believe personally that Kane could easily go into his mid-30s playing at the top of the game, but whether they want to take that risk by spending 100 million is a very big risk. We've seen it go wrong when Real Madrid, they spent 100 million on Hazard when he had 1 year left of his contract, and it went and that fell completely flat. I think as well, if you're Man United and you're spending 100 million on Harry Kane with the year left on his contract, you're like putting a lot of pressure on yourself to win the league that next season, to be honest, because you could have waited another year and got him on a free. So you're saying it's worth it to get him in a year early for 100 million. Why? It can only really be worth it if you win something significant in that year.
It's not worth it. Not worth it financially either way, right? Like if you finish first in the Premier League, obviously it's worth the title, but in terms of financial recuperation in that one season, there's not a big enough difference between first and second in terms of prize money that you're actually going to recuperate it. The only difference, the thing that would make it easier for me to get on board the palatable aspect of Man United paying it would be if the Qataris came in and El Thani said, I want to make a splash, I want to come in there. And if that happens, if that takeover happens immediately, like in the next 2 months, which is, may or may not happen, then maybe they want to make a splash, and on that basis, maybe they'll pay it. But I think that what they're doing
as well, because it's up front as well. They said they want 100 million up front, no installments as well.
Yeah, but they paid 71 million for or 75 million for Casemiro, right? And he's what, 32, 31?
No, he's what, 28, isn't he?
Casemiro, 31.
I thought Casemiro's 31. So it's not about his age. What would put them off would just be the kind of the fact that he's got 1 year left.
Now, yeah.
31. Just turned 31 last month.
So it's not going to be his age that puts them off paying the 100 million, because if they're willing to pay that 70 million for Casemiro and they've seen the impact of him, they might well pay it irrespective of Harry Kane's age. What it comes down to is whether they're willing to pay it thinking that they can get it for free the year later.
But if they're going into next season and they earmark that, maybe a centre forward is that key position that they do need to go and win that title next season, then maybe 100 million doesn't seem like so much if they think they can actually win the league with that one player next season.
Yeah, and like I say, I don't think it comes down to finances. Like, they will finish in the top 4 next season, in my opinion, if they have Harry Kane. So and they might not if they don't. With the resurgence of potentially Chelsea, the resurgence of Liverpool, maybe the threat of Newcastle, who knows what will happen with Tottenham. But so the top 4 conversation, Man United are currently still, they don't know whether they're going to finish top 4 right now. With Harry Kane, they're definitely going to finish in the top 4. So they'll get that kind of they'll definitely get that financial reassurance. And I don't think that there's a massive difference in terms of prize money from finishing first or second or third. It's not that significantly different. So to them, it would be whether the 100 million quid is worth the prestige of winning the trophy. And I think that conversation, therefore, is not about finance. And if it's not about finance, then it's an easier thing to be palatable if the owner doesn't care about money. And therefore, it's incredibly more likely that Harry Kane would go to Man United if the Qataris are in charge versus the outgoing Glazers.
Yeah, we're saying, I mean, they're saying 100 million now, but that might not be the case as the window maybe progresses. Maybe Harry Kane pushes for that transfer again. Maybe he puts in a transfer request. If he does do that, then what do you think the threshold is for Daniel Levy and Spurs? Because surely they'll have to lower their asking prices if that happens.
Has Daniel Levy ever given an inch? He's never given an inch, has he? He's got his number. I think to him, it's more about pride than anything else. You know, he doesn't want to give an inch. He never gave an inch in the Berbatov deal. He never gave an inch in the Modric deal. He never gave an inch in the Bale deal. All of those things. And how many times have we missed out on players by never giving an inch on the incomings when it comes to people like Jack Grealish, etc. So I think Daniel Levy will have his number. Which again, as much as I'm considered someone who like defends Daniel Levy and stuff, like one of the things I always criticize him for is that this idea that he's this master negotiator. He's not a master negotiator, because a negotiator means that you have some sort of compromise. You figure out the best way.
He's a master tyrant, is what you're saying.
He has a line in the sand. Like, my number is this. You either meet it or you don't. You know, and that's how he handles it. I don't think that's a master negotiator. I think that's just a line in the sand guy. So I think that he'll have his number, and if Man United pay it or don't, that will determine whether or not Kane leaves. I don't think Kane will go to Chelsea. I don't think Kane will go to Arsenal. I don't think Liverpool would have the money, and I don't think that Kane will go to Europe.
Yeah, Gary Jacob is also saying that Tottenham are remaining quietly confident that Kane will be at the club next season. Do you see that being a realistic option with Conte, assuming Conte goes out the door in the summer or before?
As I said earlier, it depends massively on who's the next guy. I think
because we all said Conte was his last chance saloon after Jose Mourinho and all that kind of stuff. Which manager can come in and bring Kane back on side?
Pochettino.
You really think so? I don't think he does. I don't think he does.
Pochettino said he had a wonderful relationship with Harry Kane. If Tottenham were to go after a project manager and looked at someone like Amorim, for example, from Sporting,
but Kane has a lovely relationship with Ryan Mason as well. Doesn't mean he's going to make him stay at the club.
Well, true. Okay, fine, fair enough, fair point. But I'm saying, you ask the question, is there any manager that may give him? Bearing in mind that Harry Kane also, his family's very happy, allegedly very happy, very settled in London. You know, like there's more than just football. And more than just the desire to win trophies.
I don't buy the London thing with Harry Kane. I don't buy that at all.
No?
No, I mean, he tried to push to go to Man City 2 years ago. So, I mean, he would have no worries about going back up to Manchester again. So I don't see the London thing being a thing.
Okay, well, at least on some... sorry, someone's at my door, but whatever.
Pompey play!
At least some people are saying that it's a thing, right? And maybe it's more of a thing to stay in England than it is to go abroad. I don't know. But for me personally, I would just say that, you know, if there is a manager that he would play for, then I would say Pochettino is one of the options. If Tottenham were to go and sack Conte, or Conte was to walk away, and Tottenham were to bring in some younger guy like an Amorim, I think that would be the nail in the coffin for Kane. So maybe it's not so much around are there managers that he would play for, but there's probably managers that he wouldn't play for, just like there wasn't one in Nuno. Maybe the young stuff isn't going to excite him. Maybe an Enrique, maybe a Pochettino, maybe that's enough for him to get behind. But
yeah, it's the question is, how do we avoid him getting back to the same headspace he was in 2 years ago?
I can't see
and it's just going to be different. I think it's going to be near impossible. Like, shy of appointing Guardiola, I don't see how we do it.
Exactly. Like, once you burn Mourinho, burn Poch, and burn Conte, in Harry Kane's headspace, he's like, where else are they going to turn? Like, I can't see any manager coming in to bring Kane on side. I really can't, unless it is like a Klopp or a Guardiola.
Yeah, I think you're right, but again, I don't necessarily always think that the tier one. You know, maybe Harry Kane. Do we ever talk about whether Harry Kane's happy playing the system that Conte's asked of him? No, we're assuming that Harry Kane is the guy in the dressing room who is on board. He's the person that when you said Fabrizio Romano, and that there's certain players that agree with Conte. We're assuming that Harry Kane's one of them.
Just basing it on that he was one of the ones who was still backing Jose even at the end. So why wouldn't he be the ones backing Conte?
Oh, but because it might, like I say, it might not necessarily be about the caliber of the manager. It might be the content of the character of the manager, or it might be, does Jose Mourinho? Did Jose Mourinho put his arm around a guy and big him up? Does Conte do that? I don't know. We don't know how Conte interacts with the players on a day-to-day basis. And I'm sure there's differences.
Video call when he was out ill when Kane broke the record. I mean, he was super proud of him, and giving him his congratulations, showing him a lot of love. I'm sure them two get on just fine.
Mate, probably, but that is anecdotal evidence. All I'm saying is that we don't know that I'm speculating here, but we don't know what the ins and outs are, and that there might be some frustration in Harry Kane's head that he's being asked to do a role that he doesn't want to do. Maybe he can see a bigger picture and want to play in a different system for the last 3 years. I'm not saying this is not my opinion.
He's on track for more goals than he has for many, many years.
Right.
So I think he's clearly playing well. He's not down tools.
I'm not saying he's not playing well, but maybe he doesn't enjoy the system. Maybe he wants to play more expansive football. Again, speculation. I don't know.
Maybe, but I think the evidence would suggest that he's one of the players that's fully on board with Conte and bought into it.
Well, yeah. I mean, okay, but.
All right, guys. I think we're going to leave it there.